Did you guys think we were done with framing? Well, think again. Look at this humongous pile of lumber. Well, we've been postponing some work down here in the basement because we have bigger stuff to work on. But fortunately, we're getting some help from the Kaufman guys. It's great to work with Jared, and he sent some of his guys over. So we're going to be building in this episode the basement walls. They're not like standard walls because they have to be floated, and then there's like this humongous spike. So let's go inside. First, we need to clean it up and start working on it. Welcome to our basement, or our walkout basement. As you can see, it's cleaned up. It actually took us like a day to clean it up. We had all sorts of material stored down here: polyiso, power wool, rock wool, mountains and mountains of insulation. We want to get this done and be done with framing because we cannot pass a plumbing inspection or electrical inspection without the framing finished. We're missing all the internal walls down here in the basement, and I'm actually standing here in the bathroom. I'll try to put in a picture here of the layout of the basement. And then we also need the stairs, of course. We cannot pass inspection without them. So we want to be ready, and that's basically the last remaining items of framing. But before we did that, we actually installed 2 of the 3 remaining windows that we have to install. We still have 1 more window to install, and that one is upstairs. And the reason we haven't installed it is because that's what we use to get material in and out of it. You might have seen the wall at the end of at the beginning of this segment. So let's go over there and let's do a little bit of talking about it. You might see we have our first wall built, but why don't we start from the beginning? So let's begin with the bottom plate. So first off, you might notice we have concrete right here. So that means that our bottom plate, this one, needs to be a green plate or a pressure treated plate. Did you know that they make LSLs pressure treated? So that's what you see right here. That's why you don't see it like the other ones. To be honest, we like pressure treated LSLs way better than the typical pressure treated, because that type of lumber is horrendous. It just twists, bends, whatever. It's like very unwieldy. It is super cheap too though, but to be honest, it's really hard to work with. And then you show up a couple days later and you see a different piece of lumber. What you see down here is actually a pressure treated LSL. So we're using that. And then to basically fasten it to the concrete, we're doing 2 things. We're using these anchors. You might have seen us use these anchors in our basement episode on the mechanical room, how we put the drywall on the walls, on the concrete walls and whatnot. We're installing each of these every 4 feet approximately. These guys are like massively strong. To be honest, we're using these because they're way better than ramset. Ramsets have the tendency, if you shoot it, it might actually crack the concrete, or it might just break, or it might just not grab hold of the concrete. So that's why we're using these anchors. And in order to install these anchors, we are making use of our super awesome hammer drill that we got for concrete. We got this a very long time ago, and this was a big lesson at the time because I was using my regular drill to drill a basic hole in concrete, and it took me like 3-4 hours. With this guy, it takes like less than 5 minutes, maybe a minute. So this is the guy we're using. We highly recommend it. So with that said, also, we're anchoring it, but we're also putting Lexel at the bottom. It is a good idea to glue it, but to be honest, we like Lexel because it serves 2 purposes. It kind of glues. It probably glues better than the construction glue, but it also acts as a sealant. So that's what we did down here at the bottom plate. And then finally, you might see that we actually have 2 plates. In the engineering drawings, it is recommended to just use 1. But in this case, we have 2 because we have the first 1.5 inch for our radiant heat and tile. And then the second plate will be for nailing. So that's the reason why we do this. When we build these perimeter walls, we are actually leaving a gap here between the wall or the studs and the concrete. And that is very important because otherwise all these studs would need to be pressure treated and whatnot. And there's no real purpose in having to purchase all these studs to be pressure treated. Secondly, the reason why we actually build these walls is because the concrete, when it's finished, it has all sorts of imperfections, like all these little bumps and whatever. So if you were to put your drywall or finish material next to it, you would end up with basically a little snake of wall. So by installing these perimeter walls, you end up with a nicer finish. And then, of course, you can run electrical, plumbing, and everything you need. So now we've spoken about the walls and the plates. One quick thing is these are 2x4 walls. So we're trying to make these as small as possible so that we can make use of the internal space as much as possible. The elephant in the room is this gap that we have right here. And that's because we have floating walls. So when we talk about floating walls, it means this gap. So let me explain first a little bit what's going on. So we have our concrete slab, and that's a raft slab. It's completely isolated from the walls. The walls are the ones that hold all the load of the house, and we don't have any weight really on this slab, so it's allowed to move freely. So here in Colorado, it appears that in some places the ground may settle and whatnot, so that means that the slab may actually move a little bit here and there. So if we had a continuous wall down to the slab, we run the chance of having that slab move and then breaking the walls and whatnot. So that's why we do this in Colorado. We're here in the mountains. To be honest, I don't see it happening, but it's a requirement, so I believe it. Sure, why not? Let's do it. Next, how do we achieve this goal? So first off, we use these massive nails. They are 60D nails, and that's what's holding the wall to the bottom plates in place. So what that means is if the slab moves and whatnot, then the wall is allowed to move up and down vertically, effectively sliding up and down on the nail. The way we assemble it is our guys, they build this nice little jig. So they insert it right here, and then we basically stand on it. That lifts the wall. So and then as we're moving along, we're lifting the wall. We nail it to the rafters, so it's basically hanging there, and then we get these nails in, and then that's what holds the wall in place.
So as you can see, we have the first wall of the bathroom downstairs. We're pretty excited, but we have two mistakes that we need to fix. So the first one is that this door right here, it's way too close to the toilet. We need to have per code from the center of the toilet, we need to have 15 inches on each side. What happened here is that measurement was measured from the outside instead of from the inside. So we now need to move this door about 6 inches this way. Now the second mistake is, and this one was lack of communication from my part because I am the plumber here. We have a wall-hung toilet in here. That means that we have the water tank inside the wall. So this dot right here is right in the way. So we're going to have to shift it and have the other one on the other side so that we can fit the water tank.
So we're in the middle of building those basement walls, and then we ran into a little problem. I thought I ordered a bunch of pressure treated lumber, and it turns out that it's not pressure treated. So here I am at 7 p.m. driving to the city for like an hour to get some pressure treated plates and some nails. So that's the way it is, I guess. Well, we made it home a little bit later, like 9-ish, 10-ish, but we do have the material now, so crisis averted. The guy should be here any moment, and they should have enough material to keep working. These are the kind of things that happen behind the scenes. Typically, you just have to be able to get the material sometime, because to be honest, it's more expensive to not have the material and have the guy show up then what do they do, right? So these are a lot of the things that happen in construction that you might not necessarily see everywhere else. Changing topics a little bit, yesterday I had a little debate at Lowe's because I was looking for 3-inch ring shank nails. I believe they are 0.13 in diameter, but I couldn't find them. So I had two choices. I had 3 1/4 smooth shank with a thicker diameter, or I had the choice of this 2 3/8 0.113 with a smaller diameter nails, but they are ring shank. So then I thought, well, what's the difference between ring shank and smooth shank? Smooth shank is really good for shear strength, while ring shank is really good for pull value. If you look at engineering diagrams or specifications, the engineer typically recommends the use of ring shank. When I was talking to one of our friends, framers, they said that they really liked the smooth shank. So yes, it is really easy to pull out smooth shanks, harder to pull out these ones. So my logic was, we're building some walls, we're not building them for shear. That's the strength of smooth shank. So we want them to stay in place. So that's why I decided to get the smaller ring shank and the smaller diameter. So what we're going to do, because they're smaller, we're just going to try to apply another 1 or 2 more nails to each stud. So yeah, anyway, the guy should be here. Let's get to work. For all internal walls, we're actually using 2x6. We use that because it's easier to run plumbing and electrical, and it is also nicer because we can put bigger stuff to hold our shelves and whatnot. But here, real quick, I want to show you, we have this column of metal going down to this footing down here. In order to cover this hole, actually we have a couple of walls that attach to it. We have some bolts right here that we need to cut to size, at least under this surface, so that we don't run into trouble when we put the plates. And then I also want to fill this basically square with insulation so that it's nice, and we have a nice surface when we put the plates as well. And then insulation is ideal because we don't have any thermal transfer. For the steel, we thought we were done with ram sets, but we're going to be using ram sets to stick to it. But before we stick the lumber to it, we're going to be putting some Lexel. Like I said, I found that Lexel is actually better than construction adhesive. So we're going to be do that to the plates, then we're going to ram set, and we'll be done with ram set, I think, for good. And we are finally done with this framing. It's super awesome. One thing that I don't like at all is like messy job sites. So one thing that we did do is we cleaned up, we swept a little bit, we actually vacuumed a little bit with our shot vac, and now it's looking awesome. And with that said, let me give you a really quick tour of what's going to be happening here. I'm standing in what's going to be a game room. We have a French door back there that's going to give us even better light than what we have right now. If we walk all the way to the back, this is intended to be a TV room. It's going to be awesome, especially for the summer. Right now it's really nice and cool down here, but with all the drywall and everything, it will be dark for the TV, but then the user will actually be getting some light. If we walk over here, you will see Marcella's fancy bathroom. This is kind of like her dream. This is a humongous bathroom. So what we have here is a steam shower, a toilet, a massive sink, vanity,
Finished sauna.
a finished sauna, and a hot tub. That's what you're gonna see right there. So it's gonna be a sweet bathroom. A lot of people want to come check it out, so I'm sure I'll be there for the hot tub or whatever. And then finally, if we walk back here, we have a closet back there. Nothing special, but I'm standing now where it's going to be the next episode, and it's actually, well, I don't know if it's the next particularly, but it's going to be the final framing episode, and we're going to be building this cube of stairs right here. They're going to be floated, and then they're going to be winding, so they're going to be quite challenging. We love to do things complicated, so that's what we're going to be doing. And with that out of the way, I should mention one thing. I looked into the order that I placed for the lumber, and I actually did request that it was pressure treated, except when I got the quote back, it said not pressure treated, or actually didn't say either. And it was my mistake not to verify a second time that it was not correct. So that's why we ended up getting non-pressure treated lumber. So anyway, that's what it is. And with that, let's just finish this up and move on to the next one. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Say hi to the camera. Don't forget to like and subscribe. He's probably stressing out. Let's go outside and let him go.